Today I'm going to answer the question, can you get British Airways Gold Status for under £3,000 in 2024? And if it's no longer possible, then how much will it cost to get BA Gold Status this year? By today, I don't quite mean today because I'm filming this on the 27th of January and I intend to release it on the 28th of January 2024. But hopefully that just one day gap won't mean there's too many changes to the prices of the flights that I find, because I'm going to take you step by step through finding some different flight ideas. I'm going to show you the flights that I find. I'm going to show you how you can find them and how you can book them. Then at the end of the video, I'll show you the full spreadsheet with all the flight ideas I've found along with their prices. So you will then know whether you can go gold in 2024 for under £3,000. Hi, I'm Phil and I'm on a grey gap year. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly recap what tier points are, how you get them, and there is a little change from my last video that I made on this, but everything should be in chapters, so if you do know all this stuff, just feel free to just skip ahead. Now, I did record a recap in the last video, so this is actually going to be a recap of the recap. So if you're not sure what British Airways Status is, what the British Airways Executive Club is, why on earth you'd want status, but if you would like to learn about the Executive Club and status, then this is the video for you, because in this video I'm going to tell you all about why the BA status scheme is awesome, how the BA scheme works, and how you can hack the system to get status. If you know about the Executive Club but you want a more detailed recap, then you can go to the original step-by-step video, which is here. You can watch the recap section and then you can just come back here for all the flight prices to go BA Gold in 2024. So if you're still here, then this is the recap. Your status with British Airways is determined by the number of tier points you have. You get tier points when you take flights with British Airways and its One partners, but you have to take the flight to get the tier points. If you book a flight and then for some reason you don't fly, well, you just don't get the tier points. And I get asked this a lot. It's the people who fly get the tier points. If you book 2 tickets for you and a friend or for you and a partner, then you each get your own tier points. You don't get to double up. It's always been the case that flying was the only way you could get tier points, but right now, for a limited time, you can get tier points through spending on a credit card. It's up to a maximum of 200 tier points though. That's not enough to achieve any level of status with British Airways, so I'm not going to talk about getting tier points through credit card spend here, but I'll leave a link in the description if you want to find a bit more about that. So how many tier points do you need to get status? Well, it's 300 for bronze, 600 for silver and 1,500 for gold. Now this is the tier point chart, which tells you how many tier points you earn for each flight you take. If you fly short haul in economy, you earn 5 points, and if you fly long haul in economy, you'll earn 20 tier points. Business fares in short haul destinations get you 40 tier points, and on a long haul destination you'll get 140 tier points. Now my target is to earn 1,500 tier points to get gold status, and to do that for under £3,000 or £2 per tier point. Economy fares rarely if ever meet this tier point to price target, and business flights to places like New York, Los Angeles routinely cost over £2,000, so 280 tier points or about £4 per tier point. So how do we do this without breaking the bank? Well, we hack the British Airways frequent flyer scheme. So let's take another look at the tier point chart. The first thing to note in the chart is that the points are awarded based on mileage brackets. Whether you fly just over 2,000 miles or just under 6,000 miles, you'll get 140 points for flying a business. So if you fly from London to New York, or if you fly from London to LA, you'll get the same number of tier points. But you could break the flight to LA up into 2 segments by flying into New York first and then changing onto a flight into LA. Now in this case, you get 140 tier points for London to New York, 140 tier points for New York to LA. Now if you started this flight in Dublin, you'd earn additional points, which reduces the fare because of lower fares and taxes. And these West Coast USA runs were the backbone of the tier point run before COVID came along. Post-COVID prices went up everywhere, but these West Coast runs, they just stopped being cost effective, but they are back on a £2 per tier point basis. I'll get you started on that a little bit later. So if we go back to the chart, there's this whole section here called Short Haul Plus, which actually forms a really nice sweet spot for tier points. Short Haul Plus destinations are typically under 2,000 miles, but they're further than the proper short haul like Paris, Madrid or Rome. There's no hard and fast rule of what constitutes a Short Haul Plus destination. For example, Palermo in Sicily is short haul. And you'll get 40 tier points each way in business, but Catania in Sicily is short haul plus and you get 80 tier points each way in business. Amman in Jordan and Cairo in Egypt are both short-haul plus destinations, getting 80 tier points each way in business, even though they are both over 2,000 miles. So there's no hard and fast rule, there's a list and we stick to the list. I'll put a list in the description, but some notable entries are Malta, Sofia in Bulgaria, Bucharest in Romania, all the Canary Islands, Istanbul and Athens. And it's these short-haul plus destinations that I'm going to start looking at. Short-haul plus destinations can be sweet all by themselves, but at the moment, if you book 5 nights car hire or hotel with BA Holidays, you'll earn double the number of tier points with British Airways. Now, this offer has been running for a couple of years now and is currently set to end on the 31st of December 2024, but it's been extended before and it could be extended again. The terms and conditions of the offer have changed a few times, so I'll leave you a link to them in the description and please check them. But broadly speaking, you have to be a member of the executive club before you book. The flight must originate in the UK and it has to be a BA flight or code share, so your flight number must start BA. So if a round trip to a short haul plus destination earns 160 tier points from London, if we make it a holiday, we'll earn 320 tier points. But if we start in a regional airport like Manchester or Glasgow, then we can add an extra 40 tier points each way from there to London, and then we get to double that too. So that makes Manchester or Glasgow or Edinburgh to a short haul plus destination on a 5-night holiday a very juicy 480 tier points, which at £2 per tier point gives us a £960 budget for a 5-night holiday. So how do we find them? Well, the first tool I'm going to use is the BA Low Fare Finder. It's a bit of a blunt tool, but I still like it because I can see a list of destinations and then I can see the prices month by month. And you can see straight away if the fare is cheap in your time frame. Now, in the last video, I set a Fantasy Travellers BA Executive Club year as ending in the month of March because that was about 6 months into the future. But this time it's actually my own year end, which is in July. That's the time frame I'm looking for. So ideally, I'd like to renew between the 9th of July and the 31st of August because that's when my grace period ends. It's where I get to keep all my gold benefits, even though I'm not actually BA Gold anymore. Now, I'm looking for 5-night return fares in business for around £300 to £350 mark. I don't need to be too picky on that because quite often BA Holidays will discount the fare a little bit when it's part of a holiday. Of course, it is super peak flying in Europe in July and August, so I may just have to compromise on those dates if I want to hit my £2 per tier point target. So let's get into it. Now, I found some dates that are sort of September, October, November, those kinds of things. But unfortunately, as I expected, I've got really slim pickings for July and August in Europe. So I need to create some alternative ideas. But where can I get these alternative ideas from? Well, I'm fortunate. I'm on YouTube and I've got lovely viewers who often leave me brilliant ideas in the comments. Now, I imagine this video will prompt lots of brilliant comments. So read the comments from this video and come back from time to time, join the community, give a thumbs up if you see a comment you like. And if you've got a great idea, please pop it in the comments. I love it when you give me your brilliant ideas. And just while we're on the subject, do give me a like on this video if you get something from it. And don't forget to subscribe for notifications on future videos. Another great source of ideas is the Flyer Talk forum, and I'll leave a link to the 2024 tier point run master thread in the comments. Just reading through this year's and previous year's posts, I'm always so impressed with the imagination of people just around the world putting together brilliant tier point runs, and it'll help you if you're trying to put a tier point run together that isn't based, from around the UK. So let's have a look at some things that aren't just BA Holidays. Let's get some alternative ideas. And alternative idea number 1 is flying from London to a UK regional airport. Now, if you live near Heathrow or one of the regional cities like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester, then you've got the opportunity to get tier points at £2 a point just flying in the UK, because I have found some prices that work. And if you live near one of the airports, then you don't have to worry about hotel costs either. And you could consider doing a back-to-back where you fly into and out of your destination city on the same day. So you could fly from Glasgow to London in the morning and then back to Glasgow in the afternoon. Now, you'll get the best prices if you nest 2 purchase flights together. Now, I don't think I'm going to have a huge amount of time to discuss this today, so I will make a separate video on this very soon. But these are the basic concepts here. So I've got two tickets just to demonstrate the principles here. So ticket one is Glasgow to London, and we fly from Glasgow to London on ticket one in the morning. Then on ticket two, we fly from London to Glasgow in the evening. We're back in Glasgow. We've done a back-to-back and we've got this better price. So then we're in Glasgow, and then on ticket two again, we're going to fly from Glasgow to Heathrow, which is the return on this ticket. And then we're going to use the return on this ticket one to get back up to Glasgow from Heathrow. So you've actually nested those tickets. You've flown down on ticket one, then you use ticket two, then you come back on ticket one again. And that's how you nest tickets to get those best prices. However, there are some warnings, but I think I'll stick that in the back-to-back video in a week or so. But let's move on to idea number two, which is Helsinki to Malaga. Now this idea does have some positioning costs, as in you'll need to get to Helsinki, but this is a European flight that earns 140 tier points because it's over 2,000 miles. And I'm very sorry, but right now to hand, I don't actually have the name of the person that put this in the comments, but to you, I say thank you. So this flight would yield 280 tier points, which actually gives me a budget of £560 to take the flight. And there is availability in July, and it is a back-to-back flight. So let's get into Google Flights. So the budget is £560, and if you put it as a one-day trip, you'll actually fly out at night and then fly back very early the next day. So although it's a one-day trip, it is actually a back-to-back that'll work. So you can see from these flights that if I fly out on Thursday, I'm leaving at 10 to 9 and then landing very early the next morning, and then about an hour later we'll take off and land again. Now this is a classic back-to-back, and it's almost certainly going to be the same airplane that takes me there and brings me home. And it's 530, so I think that is actually a bargain. Now there's going to be the costs of getting to Helsinki. I could use points for that, but I don't count points as zero. But I think that would actually be quite a fun thing to do. And you could actually fly from a regional airport into Helsinki, do the back-to-back and fly back, and you might not even need a hotel. You could just spend the whole time at the airport. Although I think I'm getting a bit long in the tooth for that kind of thing. So alternative idea number three is to go from Abu Dhabi to Jakarta. And I talked about this in the last video that I made, a bit like this. From Abu Dhabi to Jakarta on Sri Lankan Airlines, and it's one of the best value tier point runs around. And you can still book these flights for about £816, £817, that kind of thing. You have to leave a couple of days between your return trip. Now, as a reminder, this route is so lucrative on a pound per point basis. It's because you can fly two legs, each of which are just over 2,000 miles per leg. So you're earning 140 tier points a leg, or a very nice 560 tier points for the round trip. So it's about £1.50 per tier point. Now the drawback is the positioning cost. Now positioning cost is the cost of getting to your originating airport if it's not your local airport, in this case Abu Dhabi. And depending on how you want to price up your tier point runs, you need to throw in the cost of overnight stays as well. So in this case, you're going to need a hotel in Jakarta or somewhere else nearby, perhaps Bali, for the nights that you have between your flights. Now, in the previous video, I struggled to plan this trip for under £2 per tier point when I added in these positioning costs. So two things have happened to make this route more attractive than it previously was. And the first one is British Airways resumed flights to Abu Dhabi, so you can make a points redemption for a direct flight, or if you fly direct with BA, you'll earn a few tier points along the way. And some recent news makes this one even better, because you can easily tack on now an extra route from Jakarta via Hong Kong to, say, Taipei or Hanoi. And this flight will give you the chance to experience Cathay Pacific's business class, but you'll also earn 360 tier points per round trip. Now, the reason I say this is recent news is BA have only recently started to award tier points for Cathay Pacific P-Class business fares. The P-Class fare was added by Cathay Pacific during the pandemic, and these fares are often the ones that come up on Google Flights, and they don't earn, or they didn't earn, any tier points. Now, I do seem to remember a story where one of the Points Guy journalists was caught out with this. Now, if you wanted to earn tier points, you had to phone up Cathay Pacific and pay for a different ticket, which was a bit more expensive, and it was a lot of faff. But according to the Head for Points website, BA have now changed their system, so you will earn tier points and Avios on a P-class business ticket. And right now, Taipei is £720 round trip with Cathay Pacific. So it's pretty much bang on that £2 per tier point target. And if you combine these two trips, it's going to give you 920 tier points for a flight cost of about £1,500. So suddenly we are going to get some extra points and make those positioning costs more worthwhile. And finally, the West Coast tier point run looks like it might finally be back. These were the backbone of many tier point runs before the pandemic. And when I first looked at getting status, this is what everyone was talking about. But rising prices made them more expensive. But it looks like there are some deals around again. Looking on Google Flights, I can see Los Angeles is available for about £1,350. And from some threads on Flyer Talk, if you're starting in Dublin, that should get you around 640 tier points. So you're almost in that £2 per tier point sort of bracket. But I really think this needs to be a video all by itself, because I'd need to use a tool called ITA Matrix to find and plan these flights. And there are a lot of moving parts when you're planning these. So I will make a video on this in the future. But in the meantime, if you want to learn about booking these tier point runs, then Matt Jones from Matt's Planet has some excellent videos on this. So just go over to his channel and check them out. They're absolutely superb. I think I've probably been talking for long enough, so it is time now to look at the Spreadsheet of GLORY. So the first thing I did is I found a bunch of destinations in Europe, short haul plus destinations that could possibly give us some holidays that made sense. And when you actually look at this, you can see some of the issues that you have trying to fly from a region to somewhere like Athens, Bucharest, that kind of thing. Malta was flying out of Gatwick, so that's no good, because if you're flying into Heathrow, you're not going to be able to get down to Gatwick. And it's difficult to find a connecting flight. There are a few, but it's difficult to find a connecting flight that goes into Gatwick. And then in Sofia, it was an early flight, and so was Reykjavik and Tirana. There were flights where you ended up not being able to connect the same day. What you had to do was fly in, stay overnight, and then carry on with your onward journey. However, I did manage to find some BA holidays that kind of worked. So we've got Istanbul and Marrakech. Now I did two for Marrakech because this is the hotel that I've stayed at, and it's an absolutely lovely hotel, and I would definitely stay there again. It was an all-inclusive resort as well, and it gives us our under £2 per tier point. But if I then desperately needed to save a few quid somewhere, I wanted to give myself the option to go for the cheaper hotel, just to see if we could actually get it for under £3,000. And again, Tirana, a couple of options, one slightly more expensive than the other. The last time I did this video, I had a few people saying it's all well and good doing these regions, but you know, what about flying from London? Well, flying from London isn't giving us the same value because we're not getting those extra tier points for just tiny amounts of extra money. And these four are all over £2 per tier point, so wouldn't get us in on our budget. But there are these two that are under the price, so maybe we could go for those two. Maybe we could do them twice. Maybe we could mix up the Sofia with a run out to the coast or something like that. Although I was unable to get a car hire price for Sofia, so I don't know if there aren't any cars in Sofia, or the BA website is just not allowing you to book a car hire for Sofia because so many people are using that for tier point runs. So I managed to find some dates on the back-to-backs, and I managed to find some in October. So the 4th, in and out on the 4th, and then in and out again on the 6th. At £1.81 a tier point. That is extremely good value. You could actually, if you lived in Glasgow or you lived in London, you could actually just try and find some of these back-to-backs and just bunk them all together. You'd be doing a lot of boring flights, but you would get your gold status for under £3,000. So there is a possibility where you could just do back-to-backs throughout the year. So on the Abu Dhabi to Jakarta run, I'm getting 70 tier points from London to Abu Dhabi flying with BA. I could actually do that for a little bit less money, but it would be an indirect flight. And obviously I wouldn't get any tier points, so I may as well get some tier points. I did look at going premium economy, and I also had a look at making it a holiday. None of those things worked. The best thing that I think to do is to get a direct flight with BA, London to to Abu Dhabi for £70. And then Abu Dhabi down to Jakarta, that's the one we all know about, which is brilliant. And then Jakarta to Taipei gets us 360 tier points round trip. The whole thing adds up, and it's the positioning cost again that's going to make this less worthwhile. So which ones did I pick? Well, the first one I've picked is the Jakarta Abu Dhabi run, doing that. I've tacked on Taipei, and I've actually added in 2 Abu Dhabi Jakarta runs, and that will actually get us our 1,500 tier points, but for £3,083. Now there's £150 worth of hotels in there. I could perhaps shave those by maybe £15 a night, but we'd still be over £3,000. So that's just one of those things. We're getting them for less than £2 a tier point, but because we're getting 50 tier points more than we need, actually we're not able to get under £3,000. So option 2 is 3 European BA holidays from 3 separate regional airports that will actually get us 1,520 tier points for £1.80 a tier point, or £2,743. Now I think that is pretty spectacular. You get 3 lovely holidays. I've booked in a night's hotel accommodation in Glasgow, and then we're going Glasgow to London, round trip in 1 day. It's £190 in September. So we'd lose gold status, soft land to silver, but then regain it through those 3 trips. And they wouldn't be terrible trips, even though we weren't gold. And we would be gold again by the end of September. So 1,520 tier points for £1.80 per tier point, £2,743. So the answer to the question is yes, you can go BA Gold in 2024 for under £3,000. So which flights am I going to book? Well, you'll just have to subscribe to the channel, because you can be sure I'm going to be making videos about them, so do please look out for those. And if you want to see my very first tier point run in 2022, then this video, getting gold status in 3 trips, should be the next video that you watch. So please, if you've enjoyed the video, give me a like, and if you haven't really enjoyed it, what you're still doing here, go and watch Josh Cahill. So thank you for watching and joining me on my grey gap year. Go on, even if you haven't seen it before. It's a fun video.